Hello, it's me, Magical Shantae 888. I just thought that I would pop on for another video. I am getting ready to go inside for my doctor's appointment, and I have to be here for a little bit because I have to do blood work, and I can feel the hangriness creeping up because I had to fast, and I can't eat until after the blood work is done, and I have to get my blood drawn a few times. Anywho, I just wanted to talk about a few things, mostly one thing. And it really was kind of like I don't necessarily want to say revelation, but just a deeper understanding another piece to the puzzle of my previous conversations regarding leaving the person that I left, and the person that I left with the narcissistic tendencies. Again, I'm not a therapist, not a psychotherapist, none of that to be able to diagnose someone, but I know what it was that I experienced, and it aligns with a lot of the things that I've been hearing and reading about people with different type of personalities and all that stuff. And what I have to come out and say and be honest about is that I realize and I recognize and I take full accountability. As I said in my past videos, I always want to be accountable. I always want to be honest about my part in it. And another piece to that is that I attracted this type of person in my life. I attracted them because I thought that all the times that we would break up to make up, that I was learning enough to be able to try to kind of combat the way, even though it wasn't really a conscious thing that I was saying, like, oh, I can change them. Maybe in the past I would think, oh, well, I can help him. I could fix him. I can help him. Like, if he just goes to therapy, or they go to therapy, or we both go to therapy, then things will be different. Like, we can da 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 da. To be honest, in the double-digit amount of years that we've been together, off and on, we both have only been in therapy for not that long. I've been in therapy, I can say, going on, is it a year and a half? I think a year and a half. I've spoken to a therapist before when I was like younger, but it was more like a counselor, which is still the same thing because you can talk about your feelings and emotions and all that stuff. But they couldn't diagnose me. I didn't get diagnosed with anything until I was in my late teens. But neither one of us were really like familiar with like mental health and like getting things together and like really trying to work on ourselves separately, but also neither one of us knew how to work on a relationship while simultaneously having children, just kind of back to back. Like, I had my first one at 21. I had my second one at 25, and then after that, I think I was 27, 28. I don't know. I know that my daughter was very young when I got pregnant with my son, and then 4 years after my son was born, then I'm pregnant again, which doesn't seem like it's back to back, but it's like when you have so many things going on, you have life going on, just as an individual, and you keep on bringing children into it, it makes it hard for both of you guys to excel. So I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, I'm the only reason why, because it takes two to fucking tango, for sure. We know this. Neither one of us were being real responsible with really birth control. I had been on birth control. I had terrible side effects. And of course, when you're with one person, seemingly, using condoms is not something that you're just like, oh, like I have to because I don't want to get pregnant. This time around, I really was not in a place to be like, oh, I want to get pregnant. I didn't. I really didn't. And I was not expecting it, because deep down, I really did not know where our relationship was going to go and how long we were going to even be able to be in the relationship this time, let alone be married. But turns out, here I am, second trimester, about to be 18 weeks next week. I mean, tomorrow. I'm almost at the halfway mark, thank God. But it's like, I realize and I recognize where I was blind and where I just chose not to do kind of the right thing. Like, and I said that in my first couple of videos, that I really did make a choice. I fully went against myself and my intuition on everything regarding this relationship, especially this time, because we were not together and we came back together, and you know, the intent was to take things slow. But I can admit, I was a person that was like, no, ain't shit to go slow. You know me, I know you, let's do it. You know what I mean? And that's including all things. I was just like, okay, if we're going to do it, and I felt like there was a better financial situation. I just felt like the situation was just different. I felt like it was better for us to be able to actually make our family work. That was all that I wanted out of all this time. That was all that I wanted. I wanted to be somewhat made even for all the time that it was just, it felt uneven. And of course, you know, everybody has their sides of the story. Everybody has their quote unquote truth. There's their side, my side, and then the actual truth. And my side of it, and the way that I see it, is that I was always the one doing everything, because they never really had to be consistent with shit. And dare I bring that up, they get offended, and they try to tell me that what am I consistent at? And it's just like, I didn't have a choice but to be consistent, when every time I looked up, there was something, that some monkey wrench thrown in for you to not be consistent, which impacts our family greatly, especially if you're doing that frequently. 1-2 weeks of you not getting paid sets us back like a month and a half, because right around that time, oh, guess what? Rent's due. Guess who has to double up on the money? Guess who doesn't have money for gas? Guess who doesn't have money to pay certain shit? Like, because I'm having to double up on shit that was supposed to be split down the middle. And so fast forward to now, when we have the conversation about quote unquote 50-50, which I'm vowing to not ever do that shit again. I don't ever want to do 50-50 with anybody. I don't give a fuck if I'm in a relationship with a woman or a man. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not, because it's never 50-50. It's never equal. Like, you would have to really, really talk me. It would have to be such a good game, and I would have to see it actually be in place already, that I'm not agreeing with that, especially with a man. Because it's never 50-50. Someone is always doing more. And I want more than 100%. Like, let's say I'm staying home with the children, and that's a job in itself, because I'm home, I'm cleaning up, I'm making sure that everything's organized, I'm making sure that dinner's cooked, I'm making sure that the kids are safe, I'm making sure that, okay, while they're at school, okay, somebody has a doctor's appointment, take them to the doctor's appointment, making sure that just everything is together. And it's impossible to do that when you go to a 9-to-5 job, and you're expected to wear all of these hats. You're the nurse, you're the hairstyler, you are the person that they come to when they want their sexual favors. All of these hats that have to be worn, but you want a person to do 50-50, makes no sense to me. And it won't ever make sense. Before I knew better, it made sense. And so that brings me to my next point. My next point is that I learned along the way, as I started leveling up, of course, they couldn't really keep up. Okay, cool, but not cool. Because we had two different ideas about how life should be, which was the problem this time in our relationship, is that they wanted me to move the way that I used to move by being a fucking mule and doing the majority of the work. And they look like they're doing the majority of the work when they're not. And because they don't have to. Not because they don't have to, because they chose not to. No. I ain't gonna do it. Find somebody else to do it. There's plenty of other women out there who would be happy to do that, to make it look like they're living the dream. I'm not, and I'm also past the illusions of how shit looks, because shit can be real pretty, but it's real funky. It's real funky, and that's what it was giving. And it just, as I keep on saying, it just did not feel right in my soul. Morally, I felt not good by sticking in this relationship when I knew that we had really grown apart. Do I care about this person? Absolutely. Regardless of whether or not they believe that, I don't have to fight to make them believe that, because I know what it is that I know. And I know in my heart, I care for them. I want them to win. I want them to be successful. I want them to be the best version of themselves, first for them, but also for our children. Because now we're going to have 4. So I want them to go out and do the best that they can do for them, whatever that looks like. And I mean that, and I've always meant that. And I've always tried to break it down to them and explain to them, like, out of most of the people in your fucking life, I want you to win the most. Not so that it can benefit me, so that it can benefit you. I want you to have something for yourself. Because maybe then and only then will you stop trying to compete with me. Like, there's no competition. You'll never compete. You can't compete where there's no comparison. Like, I'm a woman, they're a man, and there's just no need to compete. But it was always this weird thing, especially this time around, as they felt like they were doing more because they were in the military this time. They felt like they were just doing so much more, and it's just like, you were doing what's needed to be done. You were doing what's needed to be done. You expect me to give you all these kudos. That's regular shit. Nobody gives me a pat on the back for the shit that I do. Nobody gives me a pat on the back for being able to notice that something was off with my son and going to go follow through and get him a diagnosis, because I just knew. Nobody gives me credit for that. Nobody gives me credit for anything. And I don't expect it, because it's a part of my job. I decided to have these children. That's what I do. So why do you think that when you do something that everybody should be bowing down to you, or somebody owes you something? That's something that I've even had to learn. Like, nobody owes me shit. I'm doing regular shit that normal people do. Regular shit. And it also has created a way for me to not need validation from others. It's really, and I will be honest, I'm breaking that, and it's pretty much broken, but every now and again, especially whenever I have my moments, whenever I'm feeling alone, because going through a separation, you're going to feel alone. You're going to feel like, man, nobody has my fucking back. Man, nobody is really there for me. But the people who are there for me, I am grateful for them. I have who it is that's supposed to be in my life at this time, and I'm beyond grateful for that. Beyond grateful. I have exactly who is supposed to be in my life, and that is okay. And the people who are not supposed to be in my life or a part of my life have fallen away. They found some sort of way to get away. And at first I felt some type of way. And I still do think about it, because I'm just like, if you didn't want to do something, why didn't you just come out and just say you don't want to? Or you think it's time for us to part ways. But no, people have to weasel out of it by making up excuses. And it's okay. It's all right. Because it's just okay. But I realize this time that I have more solitude. It's even deeper. Like, people who I would go, I'm not even gonna say above and beyond anymore, but people who I always felt like, man, like, we're related, so we're gonna always be around each other, we're gonna always, like, our kids are gonna grow up together, like, and it's just not that. And it's okay, it's fine. Like, I wish everybody who I care about the best. Whether or not they wish me the best, it's fine. But I've been noticing over the years just kind of the pulling away and just kind of releasing of that. And my whole point of that was just needing that validation and realizing, like, you don't need validation from anybody, which also leads you to not needing to keep up with everybody else as far as how their home looks, how their car looks, if they're driving a brand new car, if they're married. For a slight moment, I got caught up in the illusion of things because it looked good. It smelled good. The money was great. Bills were paid. I was able to get things that I wanted. We had a brand new car. We were working on moving. And I'm grateful that as far as like the moving, that did not fall through, because I would be in a really fucked up situation right now. I would be in a really fucked up situation. So that's okay. But I just wanted to come on here with that thought, just again, holding myself accountable, realizing the part that I played, mostly with the fact that I can't even really remember, but the main thing that I do remember is that as we broke up, when we came back together, I was learning things about myself. I was learning about relationships and things. And I was realizing, like, I don't want to do the 50-50 thing. I don't want to, do certain things. And those became my boundaries. And they were never fully expressed to that person, which in many ways is not fair, because they have the right to decide whether or not that's something that they can handle. And clearly they could not. And that is okay. That's okay. Which is why I'm where I'm at. Not being able to be in a connection with that person, on top of other fuck shit that was happening in the connection, on top of me, quote unquote, not naming my boundaries this time. But it was actually pretty clear, because I was explaining to them when we got back together, like, I'm not doing 50-50. I'm not. Especially if you're in a position to where you can pay. It does not mean that I'm not contributing, because I am contributing, but it's not going to be in the same way that it used to be. I'm not going to be taking my whole goddamn check to pay bills and I'm left with nothing, and you get paid significantly more and you're left with the majority of your check. You're wild as fuck. You're wild. So moving forward, the value that I have in what it is that I bring, there's no number to put on it. Like, another thing, because this question was brought up to me, and this is the skeeviest question that a man can ever ask. Well, what do you bring to the table? Nigga, I am the table. I'm the reason why we got a motherfucking table. I am the table. I'm the meal. I'm everything. What the fuck do you mean? All you bring is money. What do you mean? I'm the reason why we have this bitch. What do you mean? So going forward, if a man ever approaches me with such a question, blocked, delete. And if we're on a date, I'll finish the date out and I will never call them again. Scout's honor, I'm not doing it, because that means that you're looking for somebody to provide for you. Like, that's another thing. A lot of these men are feminine as fuck. and they want to be taken care of, yet and still they want to be, quote unquote, the breadwinner. Like, you need to pick one. There are plenty of women out here who are willing to take care of you. I just ain't one of them. I used to be that. I used to be that. Whatever you want to call it, a pick-me-sha, whatever the fuck, that language, you know, whatever. But I'm not that anymore, and I won't ever be that again. So if you are looking for that, please don't come near me in the future. I'm not looking for shit right now because I'm trying to get my life together. Dating men, people, like intimacy, none of that right now, because I'm wholeheartedly pregnant, trying to get through this pregnancy and trying to make sure that I deliver a healthy baby safely, and get my body back together, get my life back together. I have a lot of things that I'm looking forward to, new things to get, new places to be, and I don't have time. Anyways, it's no disrespect to anybody who like wants to live that life, cool, but it ain't for me. No mo. I learned the hard way. You get nothing out of that. Nothing. Nothing but wasted time. Anyways, I am Magical Shantae 888. I don't know if I introduced myself in the beginning, but if not, and yeah, I'm Magical Shantae 888. If you enjoy this content, and would like to see more chit chats or whatever, which is kind of what the vibe has been lately, but there's been a point to it. Just make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that way you know whenever I post new content. I'm trying to do it once or twice a week. I'll probably make a short out of this one. But yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, most importantly. Again, I don't want to be repetitive, but I'm Magical Shantae 888, and I will check you in the next one. Peace.